The sun was shining on the island of Sodor. Rheneas and Skarloey were sent to work at the quarry again. It's good to take the time off from carrying passengers, chuffed Rheneas. Skarloey smirked. Too many people getting in on your smoke box? He chuckled. Rheneas said nothing as they puffed carefully to the quarry. When they puffed into the quarry, Peter Sam was already there, carefully shunting the cars into place. Whew, sighed Peter Sam. This weather's making my boiler run hot. Those troublesome slate cars aren't helping either. Not to worry, Peter Sam, cried Rheneas. We'll soon have them shifted into place in no time. Oh, it's not the cars I'm worried about, whimpered Peter Sam. I'm worried about George. George, asked Skarloey. That bothersome steamroller? Asked Rheneas. Yes, answered Peter Sam. There he is now. Sure enough, George the steamroller is there, chuffing about the roads near the quarry. He grumbled. There are so many problems around here when engines are about. Then he turned to Skarloey, Rheneas, and Peter Sam. You three, along with that steamroller on wheels, are a prime example of why we road vehicles keep playing second fiddle to you. Our time will come, don't sweat. And he chuffed crossly away. Pay him no heed, remarked Skarloey. He'll come out it eventually, added Rheneas, and they both set off to work. Soon the quarry echoed with so much hustle and bustle. Skarloey and Rheneas had a lot of experiences at the quarry, so they had no problem arranging the cars one by one. Peter Sam had an accident at the quarry involving a freight car. It had cost him his very special funnel. But as the years passed, he soon got used to the hustle and bustle. Later, Peter Sam was having a well-deserved rest. He saw Elizabeth being loaded with dangerous explosives for blasting. He shivered. I hope the blasting doesn't knock my wheels off, he muttered. Just then, he saw George grumbling as he chuffed along the roads. Useless railways, he grumbled. Good enough for scrap anyway. He was so busy thinking about railways, he didn't pay attention to where he was going. Peter Sam saw this and sprung into action.
Stop! Stop!
George heard this and saw the back of Elizabeth's trailer. He swerved to avoid it, but ended up careening onto the tracks. George lay dazed and surprised. But then there was more trouble. The blasting had began. The gorge began to crumble. Oh no! Gasped Peter Sam's driver. It's a landslide! Peter Sam looked up and knew he was right. Everyone get clear! Shouted Elizabeth. The workers struggled to get out of the gorge. Peter Sam wanted to get out too, but realized that George was stuck and couldn't get out himself. Nobody gets left behind! Shouted Peter Sam. Thankfully, Skarloey and Rheneas were nearby. They had seen what had happened and rushed straight to the rescue. When they arrived, Rheneas had an idea. Attach the ropes quickly, he called to his driver and firemen, and so they did. With a mighty heave, the two engines struggled to pull George. The two little engines strained to pull George back up. It was hard work. George began to creak under the stress. Then suddenly they heard a noise. One rock fell, then another, and then another. Without second thought, Peter Sam charged towards George and pressed with all his might. Ooh! They were just in time. As the dust cleared, everyone was safe. For a while, not a word was spoken. George was very damaged and had to be taken for repairs. He then whispered to Peter Sam as he popped alongside. Why did you save me? He quivered. After everything I put you through. Peter Sam smiled. Because no one deserves to be left behind. And because that's what friends do. We stick out for each other. George was surprised. Peter Sam had called him a friend. I've never had a friend before. Well, now you got one, chuffed Peter Sam. And two, added Scarloey. And three, tooted Rheneas. And four, admitted Elizabeth. Now let's get you to the works. Before they left, George pondered for a moment. Maybe railways weren't that bad after all.